Hey, what's up, my Dragon Legion? How y'all been? Solar Dragoons. Today we're going to be doing a CardFight Vanguard deck profile. Something we haven't done in quite some time on this channel. And I want to thank you all so much for waiting very patiently for you all to wait to see this profile very shortly. And that is a deck update of my current Kagero The X deck profile, which not only is just the X profile, but it's kind of changed up a little bit ever since set 2016 came out. Now, ever since the new ruling where you can have 16 strides total and G Guardians became a thing, a lot of things in the deck, and not to mention with the recent Kagero Trial deck recently coming, I ended up changing up this deck quite a bit. And this deck right here is going to be taking on and tackling on to some weird subjects and some weird things that even I never thought I'd be able to or ever see myself ever doing in a build like this. So it's a work in progress right now. The build is not yet finalized, but it is a very functional build as of right now. Currently, I'm at 6 wins and 1 loss with this deck right here. So, and the 1 loss is because of my fault, not my opponent. And so yeah, so the deck definitely has a lot of progression potential. It's got a lot of aggressive plays. It's got a lot of control plays, power plays, and even board control plays, which is very impressive for a deck like this. So yeah, I'll be explaining my tech choices and explaining to you all what I'm currently doing with the deck right here, and explaining my choices here and there. And as always, for those of you all who are just here to net deck, I did leave the deck list in the description down below for those of you who are just here to net deck. I only ask that you drop a like on your way out. It really means a lot to me. It's very appreciative. And with that being said, let's move on straight into the deck profile right now. Shall we, Dragoons? Alright, start off with your starter Vanguard. Start off with the one Lizard Soldier Fargo. We're still playing a Fargo. The new Lizard Soldier Redux, I believe his name is. He's actually a really good forerunner. But right now, at the moment, I like Fargo better right now, at the moment, because just ability where he can just go in your Vanguard soul at any time with no cost or anything, just as long as your Vanguard has one Overlord. It's still a very appreciative ability, and what's really nice about this card is he gives your Vanguard the ability where if his attack is a hit, regardless if it's Vanguard or Rear Guard, if his attack is a hit, you get to free retire off one of your opponent's rear guards for free, which is very nice as such. If you soul blast him, then get him back in your hand, you can just call him the rear guard circle, and then reuse his ability all over again, which is very fantastic. Or use him as an extra 10k shield, which is very appreciated for a deck like this. And yeah, that's a lot of things people keep on forgetting. We'll underlook about Fargo. Fargo is underrated right now to a lot of people, and Fargo is just a very useful card in general. And what's really nice about Fargo is thanks to the ruling will strides, whereas they technically share the same name as the card that's currently in its heart. So even if you stride into something good, like let's say Ruthless Dragon or Nouvelle, which I'll get to very shortly, that Vanguard will still have the ability of Fargo during the turn when you first activate the ability, put in soul, so you can retire one, which is always a very powerful ability. But obviously, you want to use this guy's ability when you're either using one of your Overlords or your Ace Overlord in general, because the restand ability and the ability to potentially pop more one rear guard is a very powerful ability right there. So yeah. And that's my forward right there for the trigger lineup. We have, of course, the excuse me, just gotta get more comfortable real quick. There we go. For the trigger lineup, we have, of course, the 4 heals, which is a lot more important than it used to be now, thanks to G Guardians requiring you to pitch heal trigger in order for them to call Guardian Circle, which is a very powerful, useful ability. And of course, heal triggers are still great outside that, because obviously free damage heal and prevent yourself from losing as much as possible is always very good. And as for the trigger lineup, we're still back to playing the 4 draws, and the 8 critical lineup right here. Now, this is a very important lineup right here, because with the new ruling, we're now allowed to have 16 strides total in a stride deck. Critical triggers have never been more important, especially in a deck like this. Like, it's very important that you hit your damage and hit those big numbers to your opponent as fast as you possibly can. The more you hesitate and the more you lack on going for the kill, the more likely your opponent is going to take advantage of that, go into a good, powerful strike unit that you're going to have a hard time dealing with. Sorry about that. The more likely you're going to have a harder time dealing with their more strike units, and you want to go for the kill as fast as you possibly can, and you want to hit those big, huge power damage as fast as you can. It's so important right now. I've even despite how Gatling Claw Dragon is important, where you can pop out forerunners, I've even contemplated of doing one of 2 things. I thought about either A, cutting 2 of these and putting 2 more crits, or B, cutting out all my draws and putting put in 12 crits like I used to did before, because that's how important hitting those big numbers and big damage has become ever since the new stride ruling. And that's it for the trigger lineup. Now for the grade 1s. For the grade 1s, we have the 4 Protect Orb Dragons. Very important. And he's even more important in this deck right here because we got the Legend in this deck now, which I'll get to very shortly. So he's very crucially important in a deck like this. Especially with the unflipped ability. Still playing the 3 Lava Flow Dragons. I've contemplated on bumping up to 4. Haven't thought about what card to take out in order to do so as well. In order to do that. Still playing the 2 Calamity. Instead of playing 3 or 4, I ended up cutting him down to 2 Calamity Tower Wyverns, which I'll explain very shortly why I'm putting him down to 2. But Tower Wyvern is still a very useful card. Just the fact that you're able to Soul Blast 2, get free draw when he's called a Rearguard Circle is still a very helpful ability, especially when your deck is a Legion-based deck, where you want to get your most important units back into your deck as well. It's a very useful ability when stuff like that happens, and Calamity Tower Wyvern, while he's not as important as he used to be, he still helps out when you need him to get your free draw power and also get your free draw power and get your soul blasting, so you can have more targets to Legion and do back in your deck. And to wrap up the grade 1s, I decided to mess around with this new grade 1 that we recently got, and that is 4 copies of Lizard General Conroe right here. Lizard Soldier Conroe got promoted to Lizard General Conroe, which is awesome. Now, for those of you who do not know what this version Conroe does, what this Conroe specifically says, when he's called a Rearguard Circle, you may reveal a grade 3 from your hand to your opponent. When you do, add any Overlord from your deck to your hand, and then at the mere cost of doing so, you just have to pitch a card and that's it. Also, he has the ability of retire this unit, choose one of your Vanguards with Overlord's card name, and that unit gets the ability of when this unit attacks, unflip 2 damage, which is a very huge powerful ability. It definitely combos off with your X and combos. It definitely combos off with your Ace combos, all that such, and even somewhat combos off with your strides. Because again, as I said earlier, the whole stride ruling, where the name is treated as the same name as a unit who is currently in his heart. So it definitely helps you out with a lot of perspective as well. But what's really great about this guy is the obvious factor of you get to free search any one of your main deck Overlords from your deck to your hand, which is very crucially important because you want to be able to see your X or your Legend to your hand as fast as you possibly can, which is very crucially important for this deck like this. And even if you are already set on the X's and the Legends, if you want to search for the N in order to have a stride target for next turn, to pitch whatever such, or anything related to such, he's also great for that, because he even gives you, so in a way, he kind of gives you some stride fodder targets as well, which is very helpful and very important for a deck like this. And that's it for the grade 1s. Now for the grade 2s, we are still playing the 4 Dragonic Burnout. Burnout, no explanation why this guy is so good. Soul Blast 1 to not only get one of your discarded Overlords back to the bottom of your deck, but also pop off any one rear guard on your opponent's board. Can't argue with this ability. This ability is just as good as it's always been ever since it first came out. And with this deck being more reliant on Overlords, it has become a lot more important and crucially important, especially now that you may be forced to pitch your Overlords for either Persona Blasting or use for Stride Flyers and all that such. And now here are some of the new cards I'm now playing in this deck right here. I'm now playing 4 Berserk Lord Dragons. Berserk Dragon got promoted from Berserk Dragon to Berserk Lord Dragon, which looks amazing. His ability is Generation Blast 1, Counter Blast 1. When you're grade 4 or greater Vanguard, obviously your stride unit or your Dragonic Overlord Legend in Pacific Way, which I'll get to very shortly, attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards and retire it. Now this is definitely an upgrade to Twilight Arrow Dragon, because unlike Twilight Arrow Dragon, this card does not have to be boosted, nor does it have to attack in order for its ability to activate. Just as long, or its skill to go off. Just as long as your grade 4 Vanguard or Stride Unit or grade 4 Legend, which I'll get to very shortly, attacks first before this card, you get the ability to count as 1 to pop off one of your opponent's grade 2 or less rear guards. And what's really nice about this ability is, if my ruling is correct, I believe you can use this guy's ability again twice in a row. Yeah. I believe my ruling is correct. You can use the guy multiple times because if you activate Overlord's restand ability to attack again, you will potentially use Berserk Lord's ability to counterblast one and pop off yet another rear guard. So with this guy alone, even without even attacking, as long as your Vanguard attacks more than once, this guy will almost guarantee you to pop off at least 2 rear guards, which is a very huge, powerful ability right here. And the last grade 2, I never thought I would ever see the day where I would play Nehalm again. But looking at this new version of Nehalm, I guess I can make an exception of playing at least a few non-dragons. And that is, of course, 3 copies of Emperor Dragonite Nehalm. Dragon Knight got promoted from just being Dragon Knight into Emperor Dragon Knight Nehalm. For those of you who do not know what he does, Generation Blast 1, during your turn, if your Vanguard with Overlord is card name this unit. I'm sorry. If you have a Vanguard with Overlord card name, I'm sorry. It gets 2,000 power and the ability when your grade 4 or greater Vanguard attacks that this unit gets plus 5,000 power until end of turn. So it combos off with your strike unit very well, because even if your strike unit doesn't attack more than once, and obviously the whole rule name thing as I said earlier, you're guaranteed that you will get at least 5,000 additional power, plus of course the original 2,000 power right out of the bat. So right out of nowhere, this card becomes a 16 attacker on its own. So which is a very huge upgrade compared to Burning Horn Dragon. It's a much more useful card compared to Burning Horn Dragon, and yeah, it's just an all-around great, powerful, aggressive card. And not only your legend, which again, well, I'll get to very shortly, has ability where it becomes a grade 4. So as long as your Vanguard has. As long as your legend is as long as your Vanguard is currently the legend, you will never miss out an opportunity to use this guy's ability at all. So this guy will be, so even if your Vanguard is just an Overlord, he'll always be guaranteed 11k. But if your Vanguard is currently grade 4, while Overlord, it will be guaranteed during your turn he will be a 16 attacker on his own, which is a very huge and powerful ability, and it can help you hit in those big numbers even more oftenly, and it definitely comes off more oftenly if you get the triggers and the right booster backing them up as well. And that is it for the grade 2s. Now for the grade 1s. For the grade 3s. What am I saying today? Now for the grade 3s, of course, the heart and soul of the deck right here, at least in my opinion, we're still playing the 4 X's, and we are still playing the 4 Dragonic Overlord The Ends. Now, while this era of Vanguard is more focused on striding, it is very crucially important that you still keep the Legion mechanic close to you, so you can still be able to recycle your utility back and get your consistency going as much as you possibly can. It's very, because you're always going to be running out of shield triggers, you're always going to be running out of certain triggers in particular, you're always going to want your certain cards in particular you may want back, whether it's your Burnout, your Perfect Guards, whatever you need back into your deck. You need the Legion mechanic in order to get your stuff going. And it's a mechanic, and this mechanic is very important because it gives you a great balance between both offense and defense. Defense get your recruiting back, while offense, while you may not get your strike power, you still get the heavy aggressive power of potentially attack twice, while also having the X's ability wherever your attack is someone not hit, you can count last one, pitch a copy of him to pop off to your opponent's rear guard, which is still a very crucially and powerful ability as such. So yeah. So that's our still playing for these. And before we end the grade 3, most of you may have noticed that I'm not playing Neo Flame Dragon. Well, that's because I'm not playing the Great no more. As I was saying a lot earlier in this video right here, I am now playing the one copy taking place the Great. I am now playing the one copy of Dragonic Overlord The Legend. Now, for those of you who do not know what Legend does, Generation Blast 2 when he's Vanguard Circle, Count Blast 2, I'll read them off real quick. Count Blast 1, and choose a grade 3 or greater Flame Dragon from your hand and discard it. Until end of turn, this unit gets 15k power, plus 1 grade, plus 1 drive, and the ability choose 3 cards from your hand and discard them. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked a rear guard. You may pay the cost. If you do, stands unit back up. Also, Count Blast 1 and Soul Blast 1, again, these are all Vanguard builds. When this unit is placed in Vanguard Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, look up the top 5 cards of your deck, search up to 1 Flame Dragon from among them, reveal it to your opponent, and put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this card has become very crucially important for this deck right here. Now, as I said earlier about the whole Protect Orb Dragon, why it's more important now, is because if you ride into this guy, and you look at the top 5 cards, you could get a free search out for your perfect guard, which is very crucially important, because while you do want to be heavy and aggressive on offense, you want to be just as good on defense as well, and this card helps you do that very well. Also, as I mentioned earlier with Berserk Lord and Nehalm, this card literally gives you the ability of turning him into a mini stride. So he gives you access abilities to get best access into both your Berserk Lord and your Nehalm more oftenly, so it gives you the more powerful aggressive ability where this card can attack a rear guard and stand right back up, attack into the Vanguard for massive power, and you are getting 3 triple drives out of this guy right there when he attacks, unlike the Ace, which is a very powerful crucial ability. Now, in case if the X doesn't work out, you have this guy ready to plenish your opponent's plenish the destruction towards your opponent's field, while still being able to keep up with a heavy aggressive and go and swing all out to the opponent's Vanguard more oftenly. Now, I played one of him because I said earlier, the X is the more key card that you want to play more oftenly and such, but thanks to the 4 Conroes, you can get away with playing only one of him because you have the Conroe that will give you a free search for either him or the X very simply, very easily. So yeah, so for right now, the moment, the one legend seems to be working out just fine. And that is it for the main deck. Now for the strides. Since we are going to be playing 16 strides total, and still playing 2 aces, I am now playing a grand total of 4 Dragonic Overlord The Aces. I will be getting rid of these to get 2 more of the promo ones very shortly, very soon. Anyways, 4 aces is very crucially important because while Nouvelle is one of the better strides you may want to often stride into more oftenly, this card is very crucially important because you want hitting those big numbers and you want to be able to knock out your opponent. If your Nouvelle has not done his job and killed the opponent, you need the Ace to come right out and finish the job for your Nouvelle. Just the fact that this stride unit can attack twice is a very crucial, powerful ability. And again, just like the legend, he is a stride unit that attacks twice, so he gives you the accessibility to abuse your Nehalm and your Ace. By the way, before I forget, if my ruling is correct with Nehalm, if you attack your Ace at least twice, your Nehalm will gain 10k power total, followed by his original 2k power. So he will potentially become a 21 attacker by the time you're done swinging multiple times with aces. And also another ruling I found out about the Ace is that you can use his ability more than once, which combos off with Conroe more, because Conroe has the ability where you can retire him, give your Ace the ability where you can potentially unflip your damage, which gives you more accessibility to use your aces more oftenly. It gives you more access to using other units that allows you to that requires a counter blast, while still giving you access to your Ace's power and still giving you access to your main power key cards in general. And speaking of Nouvelle, as I was speaking about earlier, we play 4 copies of Transcendent Divine Dragon, Nouvelle Voyage Express. This is one of the new powerful stride units that we recently got in the recent trial deck. For those of you who do not know what he does, he has the ability of Generation Break 2, Count Plus 1, and Persona Flip another one of him. Until end of turn, this unit gets, during the battle, this unit attacks the Vanguard. Your opponent cannot call grade 1 units from the G Guardian, and during your turn, if the number of cards your opponent's damage is 5 or more, all your opponent's trigger effects are nullified. So, if this card is attacked as a hit while you're at 5 damage and while your opponent is at 4 damage, and you get a critical trigger, at least one critical, it is guaranteed that it will be a game over. So you want to be able to hit this guy up. You want to be able to use this guy's ability to go in that massive damage, go in for those big numbers, and stop your opponent from being able to guard. And now and then, if your opponent knows you're playing Kagero, they will now and then hesitate and not call their rear guards. And cards like him, along with the Ace, will make your opponent regret for not being aggressive. They will punish your opponent for not doing anything, and they will hit for big numbers and go for big massive damage. And then next up, we play 2 Roofler Dragons. I know Roofler isn't as great as he used to be, but I really like Roofler right now because just ability where all he requires is 1 flip damage to retire 2 rear guards and 1 column is still an underestimated ability that a lot of people underly see. Just the fact that Roofler can retire 2 rear guards by just using ability only once. It's a very useful ability, and it also allows you to get around those annoying rear guards that happen to have abilities where they can't be targeted, and Roofler just happens to get around that ruling. So Roofler is still a great great card nonetheless. And what I like about Root Flare is that he doesn't require Soul Blasting, Discard, or Counter Blasting. Just Persona Flip one card, boom, get rid of 2 rear guards, and then boom, go into the big numbers and go for massive damage. And one more thing I want to point out about all these guys you've seen so far. One thing I want to point out is thanks to the G Guardians, if you call a G Guardian to a Guardian Circle, even you never strode up till now, if you call a G Guardian at least once, you could potentially stride into these guys and still get these guys' abilities without having to wait until you stride into another guy, because G units are strides as well, and just like any other strides, they go face up when they're done being with their use and such. So this gives you more capability, more access to do a lot more heavy aggressive stuff. And then yeah. Anyways, and then for last of the non-G units, G Guardians, pardon me, we have 2 copies of Supreme Heavenly Emperor Dragon for Vortex Desire. Just a really nice card where you can flip any card from face down, G zone face up. He gets the ability always on hit. Retire 1 rear guard for every Flame Dragon in your heart. In your Vanguard circle. So most likely, if you have, let's say, the Legend in your Vanguard circle, and this guy's attack is hit, you can retire 2, or if you have, let's say, X and he's in Legion before you strode into this card, you can retire 3 rear guards for free. Just a minor Persona Blast, and you're able to potentially retire 3 rear guards for free. Yeah, if that doesn't sound like a useful ability, I don't know what is and such. So that's what we're currently doing for the main strides themselves. Now for the G Guardians. For the G Guardians, this is supposed to be 2 copies of Defeat Flare Dragon. His ability is when you first call a Guardian Circle, I can take while my Vanguard is Overlord and my Vanguard is being attacked by my opponent's Vanguard, and when we call a Guardian Circle, I can take 2 grade 3s from my drop zone, put them on my deck, and then retire all my opponent's entire back row. Now, this is a very helpful, powerful ability because it gives you free massive heavy retirement, and it gives you free an extra defensive at the same time, and it gives you some great recycling utility as well, and yeah, all that great such. And for the last G Guardian, I don't have him yet, but I did recently order him, and he will be coming very soon. I don't exactly remember his name. He's the one where, if he's called a G Guardian Circle, and my opponent has 4 less rear guards, which is very simple for a deck like this, this card gains an additional 5k defense. So, not a terrible card, not the most useful Kagero stride you could hope for a deck like this, but it is sometimes a very useful ability, and a free 20k over a 10k shield is kind of a useful ability now and then. It's not terrible. Probably not. Obviously, I would prefer Defeat Flare Dragon, but this card is actually not terrible. And I've heard Flare Dragon is going to be very expensive, so I'll be playing 2 copies of max copies of the other guy, taking his place until I pick up the rest of what I need for the G Guardians. And yeah, Dragoons, that right there was a very long Kagero deck profile for the upcoming new set. A lot of changes are going to be happening with this deck right here, and a lot of things this deck is definitely going to be tackling on doing for quite some time now. But I think you get the gesture of what I'm trying to do with this deck right here and such. And this deck is definitely going to be full-on aggressive, full-on heavy-duty mayhem, and it is going to have to go ham more harder than it's ever had to been in the past, because there is a lot of things you do not want to deal with. And the more you get your power going on, the more you get your power plays going, the more likely, more often you will be able to do what you need the most. So, with that being said, let me know what Dragoons think about this deck profile in the comment section down below. And I will see you Dragoons around. Hope you Dragoons enjoy this video. Please leave a like and a favorite if you did, and share this video with other people. It really helps me out a lot. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter to keep up latest updates about myself and this channel. And subscribe today to become part of the Dragon Legion Alliance. And I'll see you Dragoons another day. Christian Dragoon, signing out. Peace.